PartMaker's advanced surface machining includes a collection of powerful new finishing strategies. Here you can see some of these finishing strategies. Let's take a look at Constant Z, which is a good strategy for finishing vertical walls. Here I've got a few walls deselected to avoid machining them. So here's the resulting toolpath, steps down in levels in Z, leading in and out at each level. We can turn on the spiral option, which will only lead in and lead out one time per wall. In between each level, it will actually be spiraling down, so the level is continuously lowering itself in Z throughout the cut. So it engages at the top of the part, and as it's cutting around the next Y, it'll be plunging slowly down in Z until it gets to the bottom and leads out. We also have some horizontal machining strategies, such as offset and flat finishing. So here we're going to do offset flat, which finds all the flats except for the top surface that we've avoided. And we could also change this strategy. Rather than use an offset pattern, we could use a raster pattern. The raster will cut back and forth and then clean up around the boundary walls. So we'll go ahead and adjust the step over, and we'll take a look at this toolpath. So there you can see our raster flat finishing. Beyond finding flats and vertical walls, we can also do freeform machining. So here we have raster finishing. I'll select the surfaces I want to machine, and you'll see we have collision surfaces, which will all the surfaces we don't want to machine, yet we want to make sure PartMaker doesn't gouge them. So here we can go ahead and calculate the toolpath, and it machines those surfaces that we've selected while gouge checking all the surfaces that have been deselected. Let's go ahead and take a look at some of the rotary strategies. Here we have a spiral rotary strategy, which will cut rotationally around the part, and we can set options of how to machine this. So here I'm going to use spiral, and I'm also going to adjust the Y offset so that the tool's machining off-center, giving me good surface footage at the tool tip. So here we go ahead and take a look at the tool path. So it's spinning around, and you can see we're off-center in the Y-axis, making sure that we're contacting with a part of the ball nose that gets good cutting surface speed. Cutting around the part. And we'll take a look also at linear. So linear is doing a rotary toolpath, but it's cutting along the part rather than around the part. So cutting back and forth, again with the tool offset in the Y-axis to get good surface footage for rotary toolpaths. We also have cylindrical milling. This will take a toolpath, and we're using projection. So we're projecting a cylindrical path down onto the part, doing some engraving in this case. Using the rotary axis, 3D machining. We also have polar machining using 3D offset. So beyond being able to just use different types of strategies, you can generate different types of motion. So here we're machining using a rotational axis, the tool oriented at the end of the part, doing 3D offset machining. So you can see it's offsetting a pattern going around the part, but it's using the C axis of the machine tool to do so. With any of these toolpaths, we can turn on the toolpath points, so we can actually see where and how many points there are in the toolpath, along with options to filter these points and redistribute them. We also have a steep and shallow. So here I've got some certain surfaces selected that I want to finish machine, and we can machine the steep regions with the Constant Z strategy, and the shallow regions with either a raster or 3D offset. I've also turned on the spiral options, and we have a threshold angle to decide where to start and stop the steep and shallow settings. Now, something with this toolpath that I've set up is hole surfaces. So with hole surfaces, you can see I've got the holes selected, and PartMaker will automatically patch these holes so that as if they're not there without having to change the model. So there's the surface machining toolpath, spiraling around, doing the 3D offset, but doing Constant Z on the walls which are more vertical. And there's an overlap between these toolpaths. And you can see the holes are machined right over top of them as if there's a smooth patch and the holes aren't even there.